All right. So guys, welcome to the investor semester. This is the freshman Friday. So who was here? Put in the chat real quick, guys. Just say yes if you guys were here last week or no if you were not, because I want to fill you in on why. No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right. So last week, guys, what I'm doing, you may not know this right now, but I'm actually slowly building out a series of educations, and I'm actually walking you guys through building a business. I didn't mention it last week, but I'm mentioning it now because in preparation for the next semester that's starting next week, I really want to get you guys in tune. And this call, if you guys are here for the very first time, this is open to everybody. By being part of our Facebook community, the investor semester, you guys get to kind of be a fly in the wall and you guys get to listen into what the other students are learning. And I really want to just provide this for everybody out there. I think that education, with AI being where it's at today, education is easy to find answers, but actually building a community and working with other people and networking, that's kind of what I want to build. And so obviously we go into deeper depth on all of these topics within the actual semester itself. But what I'm doing for this call on Fridays is we are actually going to every single week build out a section of the business. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start giving you guys homework, and I'm going to start giving you guys action items and stuff like that. And so last week we went into the very first step of building this business is identifying who you are. Okay. Identifying your avatar, identifying if you are a visionary or you are an integrator. All right. And for those of you guys that were here last week, you understand that visionaries drive the train, the integrators, they lay the tracks. And a lot of people in this business, you can do a lot of it on your own, but it is very difficult to stay sufficient at that for long periods of time. And I explained to a lot of you guys last week that even myself, I started as a hybrid. I started as a beginning, while I have visionary tendencies, I really started looking at this business in the beginning from an integrator standpoint because we are forced to build out this business as an integrator in the beginning. What does that mean? You've got to build out your systems. You've got to build out your CRM. You got to do all the integrator side of things. But eventually you start scaling and you start delegating. And then that's when I realized that I am no longer an integrator or even a hybrid. I'm 100% visionary, and all I want to do is delegate out to other people. Okay, guys? So before we get started on this, does that make sense to everybody? And again, if you guys have a camera, I would love to see it. Totally fine if you don't, but it makes me feel like you guys are engaging, and I love that. And if you guys want to obviously participate in the chat, I'm going to be quizzing you guys through this and stuff like that. So today, are you guys ready? Today, we are going through the next stage of building this business, and that is what we call the conveyor belt. Okay. This is something that my students have been taught many, many times. And this is the actual structure of this business. So guys, feel free to take any notes. Also, I just forgot this. Ava, did we build a workbook out for today? I know we said we were going to. I forgot if we did. Yes. Can you do me a favor and provide that in the chat? Isabel, I will talk about that. She says, I'd like to join the next semester. Where do I go to do that? I will talk about that at the end of this. Really what I'm doing is just to get you guys a heads up. Next week is the start of the next semester. It's going to be a much larger workshop, and I'm really trying to get in. I'm guessing I'll call it a beta test. I'm trying to get a lot of people in on the next semester because actually you guys are doing me a favor. I'm trying to get you guys to help build the community rather than it being a slow drip of one student at a time. I want to get more of you guys in here and make that education more accessible. So the only way I'm going to do that is by hopping on a call with you guys. And what I want to do is I'm going to do a 15-minute deal accelerator call. And what I mean by that is we are going to structure the next 90 days of your business. And even if you don't want to join the next semester, I still want to give you 15 minutes of my time to point you guys in the right direction. So at the end of this, actually, you know what, Ava, if you don't mind, can you put the link to the wait list? Everybody on the wait list. I think we've got like 30 something people on the wait list right now. Next week, I'm going to reach out to literally every single one of you. So if you see a phone number from an 805 area code, that's going to be me. Okay. I'm going to call you guys. I'm going to try to snag 10 or 15 minutes with you guys and just talk. And again, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make the semester accessible to everybody and have this be kind of like a seed round. That's what I want to do. So, Isabel, is that okay? You just, yeah, schedule a time right now or put your name on there and then I'll reach out to you. Okay. Awesome, guys. What's up? Some friendly faces. I see some friends and students in here. What's up, guys? What's up, Jason? What's up, Steve? All right, guys. So here
What's up, man?
we go. All right. So here is the conveyor belt. All right. Let's see here. Does it work? Yeah, the chat still stays open. Okay. So here we go. This is the conveyor belt, and it's the automated system that separates wholesale operations from the guys still saying, like, I'm trying to get my very first deal, to if you're doing everything yourself right now, you're not broken. You're just missing the machine. And if you hire right, you replace yourself in the right order, you can scale without burnout. All right. So let me do this. There we go. So here's the promise, guys. In the next 30 minutes, you're going to know two things. You're going to lock two things in your brain. One, which seat that you should be sitting in right now. And two, what your next hire should be and why. Hold on 1 second here. There we go. Sorry about that. And what your next hire should be and why. Not what your buddy told you, not what some guru said, but what actually makes this business move forward. Yeah. And again, so last week's workshop, like I mentioned, we talked about the integrator versus the visionary. And now this is the next stage, which is actually delegating out and filling up the specific seats on your conveyor belt. Okay. So why do most wholesalers stall? Well, most wholesaler businesses, they actually really don't fail. Most of them just give up because they just get stuck. Because they do everything themselves, they hire out of order, and they never really build any systems at all. And they're stuck in handcuffs. So every deal requires their brain, their calendar, and their stress levels. That is not a business. That's a job that calls you at all hours of the night to try to fix your actual problems. So here is the core model. Here's the real model. Your business is a conveyor belt, like I mentioned. Every deal should move through the same stages, the same way every single freaking time. I don't want to create chaos. I don't want my team to be confused on what's actually happening. Not whatever works today, but a repeatable deal flow that, again, it happens the same way every single time. We're going to fill in those 5 boxes, and I'm going to show you how to replace yourself in the right order. Does that make sense, guys? Is this something, let me ask you guys in the chat real fast. Is this something like right now, a lot of you guys are solopreneurs. A lot of you are. You're by yourself. You're trying to dial the leads. You're trying to cold call. Is anyone here in the position that they're trying to scale themselves out of it or at least give their first hire? Give me like a yes in the chat. Okay. Isaac, awesome. Steve, not yet. That's okay. Isabel, yes. Awesome. Ian, yes. Okay. So a lot of you guys are trying to scale yourself out of it because I'll be honest, it gets very exhausting. It gets very tiring if you are doing all of the things. So before we go any further, we have to fix your language because people mix this up and it breaks everything. Okay. So what I want to go into is what is a prospect and what is a lead? Do you guys know the difference? You probably have heard everyone talk about leads, but they don't use the word prospect very often, right? In this business, prospect is an address and a lead is a person at that address that has expressed interest in selling their property. Okay. I don't ever, this is just a warning sign to all of you guys. I don't ever want you to say that somebody is giving me a list of like 1,000 leads because that is not a list of 1,000 leads. That's a list of 1,000 addresses that they're going to try to have you cold call for them and waste a lot of time. Okay. Do you guys understand that? So I just wanted to get this terminology, fixed first. So a prospect is an address. It is data, a list you're marketing to. A lead is a person who has raised their hand and showed interest. They're not the same thing. If you call prospects leads, you start lying to yourself about your pipeline, and that is honestly just not good. So next slide, why that definition really matters in this case. Excuse me. This is why you guys hear people say that I have 10,000 leads. No, you don't. You have 10,000 addresses. Leads are literally created after your marketing hits that list and somebody responds. So if your marketing is weak, your 10,000 leads is basically a fantasy. Okay. So lead generation, stage 1 of the conveyor belt. This is the most important stage, guys. Without somebody in this seat, your business dies. This is the diet that you feed your business. My students have heard me talk about that many times before. Stage one, the first seat on the conveyor belt is lead generation. This is the diet that fuels your business. No leads, no business. It doesn't matter how good your script is. It doesn't matter how good you are at closing. If this box is empty, everything after it starves. So leads are created in two ways. And we've talked about this in our marketing 101, but I'm going to go into this again. We have outbound and we have inbound leads. Outbound is cold calling, it's SMS, it's driving for dollars. Inbound is things like Google ads, meta ads, bandit signs, different methods, but for the same goal. You get a human being to raise their hand and say, yes, I might sell. So the first scaling rule. So here's the first rule in scaling, guys. Lead gen is the first seat that you replace. If you stay in lead gen too long, you burn out. I promise you that. For all of you guys here that have ever cold called, how long can you actually stay cold calling yourself with your cell phone? I promise you it's not long, right? That's why we have multi-line dialers. That's why the whole goal here is to scale yourself or delegate yourself out of that lead generation role, which is either hiring a VA, and I'll go into that in here in a second, or, actually trying to generate more inbound leads. So I've watched it happen to well over 100 different people that they try to be the owner and the dialer and the follow-up and the closer. They do 75 calls a day. They literally hate their life and then they quit. Lead gen is important, but you cannot live in that seat forever. So as I talked about, sweat equity versus money, or sweat equity versus oops, didn't mean to click that. Sweat equity versus actually investing capital into your marketing. So there are two phases in this game, guys. So early game, you don't have any money, so you trade your time for leads. Raise your hand right now. Say yes if you have traded your time for money. You have basically tried to save money by generating leads. Say yes in the chat if you've done that. Yes, yes, yes. Isabel, how do you know it's actually time to hire a VA? We're going to talk about exactly that. And as I said before, like if we hop on this 15-minute call, I'll go into all of that. Really what I want to do is I want to identify what your budget is first and foremost. I don't want anyone to go broke by wasting money if they're not in the position to do that yet. Okay. And number one, like if you're generating leads and you're outsourcing it, like you've got a VA or you're running inbound, and then you don't even have the time to follow up with those leads or even make an offer, that's a problem that I want to fix first and foremost. Like I want to make sure that on this conveyor belt that all of the holes are filled. Okay. Does that make sense, Isabel? Okay. So as I said before, so you trade time for leads. That is what we call sweat equity. Then you get a little bit of money. Okay. So this is the goal. Sweat equity in the beginning if you're broke. Some people that actually have a 9-to-5 job that they have good income, good for you. Rhett, what is up, buddy? I just saw you. What's up, man?
Hey, sorry, I got on late. How you doing?
Hey, by the way, guys, Rhett, fantastic investor, owns a lot of rentals all over Utah and primarily Vernal, like a tertiary market. So if you guys ever want to reach out to an investor and get any advice on like a smaller market, not a main market, Rhett is your guy for sure. So awesome. Good, dude. Good to have you here.
Thanks.
Anyway, so back to what I was saying, guys. So sweat equity is you trade time for leads. That is where a lot of wholesalers start. It's not wrong to admit that wholesaling attracts a lot of people that don't have money. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. What I say is this: if you can get into wholesaling and you're broke, I love that. You're going to be able to get a deal. You can make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 plus on your very first deal easily. And that can start setting you up. But I will say to this, if you are broke, identify what that reason might be, why that is. Because also building out a wholesale business is building a business. And if, let's say, you're not the best person with your money, you don't know how to budget, you don't know how to run, profit and loss and all that stuff, I still want to be very wary with you guys that you have to be intelligent going into this. And just because you can make a lot of money quick, building out and scaling that business, it takes a little bit of mindset there. So we can talk about that further. Oops. So anyway, so like I said, you get your very first deal, you make $10,000, $25,000 on your very first deal. Congratulations. Awesome. Now you got a little bit of money. Now the goal is to trade money for time. That is either you've got a deal that you've closed and now you're going to start scaling out your systems, or you maybe have a 9-to-5 job. And again, a lot of my students are 9-to-5ers, but they're able to apply some of their capital that they make and actually put it into lead generation to actually buy deals and close deals. Jonathan in my call right now, and his camera's not on, totally fine, bro. He sells solar, okay? And he's one of my students, and he makes really good money. Sorry, Jonathan, I'm putting you on the soapbox. Jonathan makes really good money in his 9 to 5, and I love that. And part of me is jealous that he just goes on these blitzes and he just makes a lot of money selling solar in California, and he comes back to Utah and he buys properties. Okay. So we need to first find out how you guys can make money from wholesaling or use the money that you're making in your 9 to 5 to apply that towards better marketing. Because again, our goal is to get you out of the sweat equity position. The end game is not, I can do everything. The end game is the machine can run without you. Okay. All right. Next slide. So this is the burnout loop. All right. This is what most people do. And they make calls, they get a few leads, they follow up, and then they still have to make calls, repeat it, and it's a loop and it never ends. And the loop creates the very worst problem. You cannot stay consistent very long to actually make this win because honestly, you're always tired. And so it's kind of like actually, before I go forward, it's kind of like this roller coaster effect. And I'm sure if you guys have been doing this for a little bit of time, you know what that roller coaster effect feels like. I also see it kind of like rubber banding. Right? So you go forward, you go back, you go forward, you go back. And I've even been a victim to that as well. And my goal here is to get you guys out of that feeling as fast as possible. All right. What does that mean? Let's say you are the one woman or the one man show. You are generating leads. What happens when now you have a lead that wants an offer? Now you are acting as an acquisition person. So now you're making that offer. Now you've locked up that contract. Congratulations. You're one step closer to getting that deal over the finish line. What happens next? Now you have to handle the transaction coordination. You have to open up escrow. And now you have to go find a buyer for that deal and you have to start dispoing out that deal. But guess what you're not doing? You're not generating leads. You're not following up with the leads that need following up with. So that part of the business starts suffering. And if we talk about leading indicators and lagging indicators, your leading indicators are when you start generating more leads. You know, your lagging indicator is you're going to be closing more deals in the future because not every deal closes on the very first call. It always takes a little bit of time. So while you're over here dispoing a deal, your lead generation is suffering. So our goal is we want to try to replace everybody effectively in the right order. And the first one you're going to do that for is going to be that lead generation. Does that make sense, guys? Let me get a 1 in the chat, please, if that's making sense so far. Are you guys getting value from this, hopefully? Making sure I'm just not talking to Zoom people that are like, I already know this stuff. I've already scaled out of this business. Awesome. Cool. All right, guys. So let me go here. Next slide. Thank you, Steve. So guys, lead follow-up. This is usually a lead manager, and this is where money is actually made. Going to be totally honest. Your lead follow-up is the most important seat in your business. Repeat that in your brain. Burn it into your skull. Lead follow-up is the most important part of this business because you could say that sales or closing is the most important part. But if you're not following up with your leads and you're not there in front of their face at the minute that they say yes, it doesn't matter what your offer is. It doesn't matter what your sales skills are. It's all about the lead follow-up. Make sense, guys? So most deals, like I said, do not close on the very first call. So if you don't have follow-up, you don't have a pipeline. You have a slot machine, right? You're just pulling that lever, hoping that it's going to work. And it never does. Like, honestly, you might get lucky, but oh, God. So lead manager responsibilities. Okay, here's where you guys can take notes. Or like I said, we gave out the workbook. Ava, if you could put the workbook for the people that might be late here. This is where you guys can start taking some notes. And again, by the way, if you guys were here in the beginning, you heard this, I'm going to repeat myself. I am building out a weekly schedule that we are going to be building this business out together for like the next 2 months. Okay. So put this on your calendar if you haven't done that yet. I want you guys to be here and working with my students. And obviously with the students, we're going to do more of a deep dive. We're actually going to do more homework and stuff like that. But for all of you guys, I want you guys to be here and get a lot of value from this. So we're going to be going through these stages on how to fill the right seats, how to market, how to close, all that kind of stuff. So What does a lead manager do? Well, they do 3 simple tasks. They qualify interest and timeline. That's number 1. They set tasks and reminders. That's number 2. And they keep leads warm until they're ready. Make sense, guys? Easy enough, right? So what does that look like? Before I continue on here, what does that look like? Let's say you've got you're running inbound leads. Okay. You're running PPC, let's say, and a lead comes in. Awesome. Who should be taking that lead if it's an inbound lead? I'll just give you guys the answer right now. It should be you. It really should. It should be your closer, because an inbound lead is also someone raising their hand that they are ready for an offer right now because they went to your website or they, called the number on the bandit sign or something like that. There's a lot more intention behind that call. So you should always be the person to take it, not some VA that might not understand the conversation. But that being said, let's say you have that conversation and they're like, yeah, I'm looking for an offer in the next 60 to 90 days. Should you be following up with that person or should your lead manager? It should be your lead manager, right? What if it's 6 months to a year? It should be your lead manager. Your lead manager's job is to be able to identify what their timeline is and check in with them until they are ready. Lucky for us guys, by the way, what used to be only a virtual assistant or an American, AI is now doing a decent enough job being a lead manager, just following up with that lead and nurturing them until they're ready. Because again, it's about being in front of their face when they are ready to sell. All right. So like I said, they set tasks, they keep leads warm until they're ready. That's about it. They make sure nothing dies just because like you got busy. They make sure nothing dies. All right. So why a CRM matters? I'm lying to you here. A CRM doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you don't have the capital. If you do have the capital, a CRM is going to make or break you. I really mean that. If you are looking to scale this business, if you are looking to set up operations correctly, a CRM is probably it's the spinal cord. It is the spinal cord of your business. Okay. I'm not going to talk a lot about a CRM right now, but I want you to understand a properly built CRM is going to help you set tasks. It's going to help you set reminders. It's going to record your calls. AI is now going to even transcribe those calls and actually set note points and actually build out the task for you to follow up as well. So there's a lot of advantages to a CRM. I would say from a solopreneur's position, I want to first focus on something like PropStream, okay, where you can get data, and then a CRM is going to be the next thing you spend money on. Does that make sense, guys? Real quick, if you guys are not, I'm just going to do this, not, shameless right now, but if you guys don't have something for data, that is a trial with PropStream. And they also give you like free $50 by using that link. So by all means, feel free to use it for 15 days. You can cancel. I don't care. Dave, you said, what's the importance of answering the calls or following up quickly for some of us that have jobs without availability to step away regularly? Okay, Dave, what is the importance of answering calls or following up quickly? The importance is if there's 2 ways of looking at it. If it's an outbound lead and your cold calling VA just got off the phone with a seller and that seller said that I'm looking for an offer right now, should you not be calling it? John, I recommend Resimpli. Again, shameless link right here. Check Resimpli by far is probably the best CRM out there for real estate by far, hands down. They have a trial as well, I think, so you can check it out. That is what we use. That is what most of our students use. It is very robust. Resimpli will even tie into your bank account so that it will actually track what you're spending on marketing, what all your costs per leads are. It's almost like having QuickBooks integrated into your CRM, and it has AI for follow-up. It has AI for what I'm talking about right now, speed to lead. So let's put it this way. So if your VA is cold calling and someone says, I'm looking for an offer, should you wait to call that person back? The answer is no. You shouldn't. Now, what if it's an inbound lead, bro? What if it's an inbound lead? Someone went to your website or it's a PPL lead and they said, I am looking to get an offer today, right now. Why should you be getting to that lead in under 5 minutes? Because I guarantee you they're going to another website doing the exact same thing. They are going to someone else. They are going to another competitor and they are looking to do like, for my PPC campaigns, like PPC is my campaigns. I own it. I literally have a video that plays with my face The minute they submit their information, it pushes them to a thank you page with a video of my face that says like, hey, really excited to hop on a phone call with you. Right about now, your phone should hopefully be ringing. And if it is, that is me or someone on my team that is calling. I want to be able to help you be able to make an offer, figure out what the next steps are for selling your house. So make sure to answer that call. What is that doing? Two things. Number one, it's building rapport before I even hop on that call. Number two, it's delaying them from going to another website. It's stalling them. So again, when someone is drunk at 2 a.m. and they're putting leads into a website, sure, don't call them at 2 a.m. Okay. Maybe send a text. You could do that. That's fine. But like speed to lead is the most important thing here. And it's something like there's a 75% success drop off if you call them after 5 minutes. 75%. Like they will never answer the call again or the deal just dies. Make sense? All right. So, like I said, following up without a system. There you go. Thank you. So yeah, by the way, Ava, Ava put the conveyor belt workbook right there. Feel free to download that, guys, and go along with this. So follow up without a system is gambling. A CRM gives you tasks. It gives you automations, drip flow, consistency. The goal is not I need to remember to follow up with everything. The goal is the system does not let you forget. All right. So now let's say you're cold calling. The next stage is going to be getting a VA into that dialer. Okay. The fastest way to replace yourself in lead gen is to prospect a list, to skip trace that list, to put it into a dialer, and a VA will call that. Leads come to you. Right now, what we are seeing in this business, we are seeing a slight drop off in cold calling. And what I mean by that, SMS is pretty much dead. If you guys is anyone here still even trying to do SMS blast, like large amount of text message blast from an SMS blast software? If you're saying, yes, I want to know who you are and what you're doing in secret. Guys, SMS is dead. We have to admit that. SMS from your cell phone still works because you could even text them. Isaac, do you script everything for them or let them freestyle? For a cold caller VA, it's going to be a script. Okay. It's always going to be a script. The lead manager and acquisitions is more of a framework that you follow, and that allows you to freestyle. But a VA that is in a cold call, it is scripty as scripty can be. It's not bad though, because that person that's on the call, whether they're from the Philippines or they're from Egypt or wherever, Costa Rica, wherever they're from, they are not going to be the person that's the authority on that call. It's very simply, hey, I know that I'm calling out of the blue. That's like a Brent Daniels way of opening, and say like, we're looking to see if anyone in the neighborhood is looking to sell their property now or in the near future. Is that something you've been considering doing? If they say yes, then you basically come at them and say, okay, well, I'm going to ask you some questions about your property, and then I'm going to pass that off to my manager. That is what the job is of a VA. And honestly, that is what the job is of even you if you're cold calling. Okay. It's being able to get the 4 qualifying factors, the 4 pillars of motivation. Isabel, how long does it take to train a VA properly? That is very subjective. That is depending on, number one, how strong their English is. Okay. That's going to be a big key factor there. It's also going to be about how they deal with human emotion, right? If they're calling somebody that just got diagnosed with cancer, I've had a VA before. Oh God. I've had a VA before that someone literally said like, yeah, I just got diagnosed with cancer. And they're like, oh, so you're looking to sell the property now in the near future? When I heard that recording, I was like, okay, that can't ever happen again. So yeah, how long does it take to train a VA, Isabel? It depends. It really depends. But if they're following a script, when I used to own my VA company, when I used to own Prime Boss, that I would say we put them through about a 2-week training schedule, 5 days a week, and we had them practice multiple hours a day going over that. But you could, if their English is still really good, it takes about less than a week for them to be able to follow the proper script structure. Does that make sense? Isaac, thanks, Jeremy. That was really valuable, but I'm struggling to know where to start. What would you recommend? Isaac, I'd recommend hopping on a 15-minute call with me. That is such an open-ended question. There's so much that we can go into there. just, yeah, schedule a call with me or put yourself on the wait list and we'll go over that together. So, all right, let's keep this going, guys. Sorry, I like answering questions in the chat, but it gets me super distracted. So, like I said, when you are hiring a VA, you stop being the person grinding the list and you start being the person that is actually handling the money moments. That's the goal. So does that make sense, everybody? Let me get a 1 in the chat if you guys are understanding everything so far. And there you go. Thank you very much, Ava. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Cool. All right, so next slide. So what you do while VA generates those leads. So what's your job when a lead comes in? You qualify the call. You identify their timeline and you decide hot now or is it a follow-up? Now, if you have a lead manager, like I said, a lead manager can do that also. Okay. To be very clear, I'm kind of like graying the area right now. I'm crossing lines right now. If your VA is a cold caller and your VA qualifies the lead and submits that lead over to your team and it says they're looking for an offer now or in the less than 2 weeks, acquisition should be getting on that call 100%. Okay. But if let's say they're looking for an offer in 6 months to a year, that's going to be a lead manager's job because the lead manager is going to be, again, qualifying them and following up. And it could be as simple as the lead manager calling that person up and saying, hey, I know you just spoke to somebody on my team and you went over details about your property. It seems right now that you said you're not looking for an offer in about 6 to 12 months. Is that right? Okay, great. Well, I just want to introduce myself and I'm going to follow up. Reason I can't give you an offer right now is because the market is always changing. And if we gave you an offer now to reflect something in 6 months, it just wouldn't make any sense for us. So I just want to introduce myself and I'm just going to follow up with you and I'll send you a couple of text messages. Maybe I'll call you occasionally and I'll just follow up until you get closer to the point where this would make more sense. Is that okay with you, Mr. or Mrs. Seller? Awesome. If their timeline is less than 60 days, acquisition should be taking that no matter what. Because all right, they want to sell in the next 60 days. That's 2 months from now. Hey, Isaac, if we came up with a number that worked with you today, I know you said you're looking to sell in about 60 days, but if we could put pen to paper, would you be looking to sell now? You don't have to move out. We don't even have to close escrow by that time. But I just want to know, like, if I can lock in money and allocate money for the purchase of your property right now, would that make sense to you? That's the questions that acquisition should be asking. Okay. So, as I said, because hot now goes to acquisitions, follow-up goes to a lead manager, and that's how the handoff starts. So stage 3, acquisitions. Now we're moving into being a closer. So stage 3 or the third seat is acquisitions. This is the closer. Offers get made here. Contracts get signed here. And this seat is where skill honestly matters. Your tone, your confidence, your control, and your clarity. This is not where you wing it. When you are scaling out your business, okay, you are going to be looking at building out a lead You're first replacing your lead generation, okay? Then you're going to be replacing lead management so that you don't have to do all the follow-up. Then finally, you are going to be replacing acquisitions. And the way to do that is you turn your lead manager into a junior acquisitions manager. Your junior acquisitions manager is eventually going to get trained to become your acquisitions. And then if they're even badass from there, they're going to eventually become your sales manager. And it's going to be their job to train the people below them. Okay. So that's acquisitions. So as I said, lead gen, lead manager, acquisitions, that's the early stage. All right. Anyone have any questions so far? Sharon, you are a -1, by the way, in your response. So that means you don't understand that. I'm just kidding. All right, guys. So any questions so far? I'll take a little pause here in the chat. Anyone want to type anything out or unmute yourself? If not, we got a few more slides to go. Okay, I'll keep going. If you guys type anything out, I'll pause and answer. So next slide. So when you need a lead manager. So here is a good problem to have. The moment that you're making offers nonstop and you can't follow up anymore, that is the time a lead manager should be coming in. You're on calls, you're sending numbers, you're negotiating. Meanwhile, the follow-up tasks begin to pile up. That's when deals really start slipping through the cracks. And that's when drop balls happen, missed follow-ups happen, and cold leads die. That's when you need a lead manager, not later, not someday, right then. What I always say about a lead manager, what I love about them is that they are also the they are the measuring device of your business. If you are generating leads and your lead manager is bored and not calling enough people, not having enough conversations, what does that tell you? It tells you that you don't have enough leads that you're generating. And so that means you either turn on your pipeline. If you're running an inbound marketing campaign, you maybe increase that budget a little bit, because your goal is to have that lead manager be consistently following up until those people are ready. Your lead manager is your measuring device. Okay. All right. So next slide. Stage 4, transaction coordination. Ava, can you please do the PDF one more time? Desmond might have lost it. So guys, the fourth seat on the conveyor belt is your transaction coordinator. This is your TC. This is honestly the glue that holds your deal together. This is the deadlines, the paperwork, the communication, and it's even more important on creative deals because there are way more moving parts than a cash deal and way more ways to actually screw up. When I talk about a TC, right, we look at cash. Cash deals are usually straightforward, allowing for a DIY approach early on. I say this to all my students. When it comes to giving a contract for a cash offer, it is one of the easiest things to do in this business. If you have not done it yet, I understand it can be scary. It can be somewhat abrasive, but going through a 1 to 2 pager and just going through section by section, you can do that in like an hour, learning it for yourself. Cash deals are very easy. Transaction coordinators, on the other hand, are not. Creative deals are not, and that's where transaction coordinators come into play, okay? So cash deals are super, super easy. Creative deals like subject to seller finance, there is a lot more paperwork that's involved. So I really do highly recommend hiring a TC. Something that's really cool, by the way, about outsourcing your TC, outsourcing your TC, honestly, it provides you a peace of mind. There's companies out there that we use. Luckily for us, I've got a TC in-house, but we've used a lot of different TC services over the years. And we've got 2 that we use with our students a lot. I'm not even gonna have a link for them, but we've got, if you want to write this down, Easy REI Closings is one. And then we also have Creative TC with Caleb Christopher, and he's a friend of ours, and he is amazing at creative deals. So I would say this much. Yeah, Ian, you asked, do creative deals almost require a TC? If you are not versed in what to do, the answer is yes. The amount of things that can go wrong in a creative deal, if you don't know how to structure the insurance, how to structure the trust. I mean, guys, raise your hand right now. Say yes if you have now heard of the new FinCEN regulations that are taking place. Say yes if you've heard of it. Say no if you have no idea what I'm talking about. No. Is there anyone that knows about this? Oh, John, of course I can explain it. Wait, you think I'm just going to leave you hanging? So FinCEN, okay, this is something that was supposed to be passed last year, and it's going to go live here on March 1st. And that is every single family home that is purchased in an LLC or a trust is now needing to be fully reported to the federal government. Wah, wah, wah. What does that mean? It means if you are buying a single family property in a trust or your LLC where you are protected, you have a registered agent that is protecting you, that your name doesn't show up on paper anywhere, guess what? It does now. How do you get around the FinCEN thing? You don't. Right now, title companies are going to be requiring it. Some title companies are even going to be charging a little bit extra just to be able to do that reporting for you. But what is the purpose of that? It's the purpose so that foreign entities are not buying up all the single family homes as well as hedge funds. They're trying to put an end to China coming in and buying up all the single family homes, and same thing for hedge funds in that area as well. So what they're doing is they're saying if a single family property is put into a trust or an LLC, the person who owns that trust or LLC has to be reported all the way down to your first and last name and even the bank account that the money came out of. It starts in, 3 days? What's the date today? Yeah. No, 2 days. Something like that, okay? Kind of sucks. I'm going to admit that. Not fun. It's one extra thing that has to be done. But if any of you guys were closing a deal here in a couple of days and you didn't know about this, That's what a TC should know. That's their department. Okay. So kind of sucks. I will admit, guys, that could be its own little thing. Yeah, Adrian, you heard Caleb talk about this yesterday. Exactly right. So FinCEN is not a big deal as long as Big Brother is not now tracking everything and all the money we're making and stuff. It's only for tracking foreign entities. This is when this originally originated, from what I believe, from my understanding of this started in Delaware, because Delaware was is the state where the vast majority of LLCs for money laundering are created. And so Delaware LLCs have, like, the vast majority of them are all people laundering money. And even like foreign countries build their LLCs through Delaware. So FinCEN was created around that first and foremost. And now when it comes to buying properties, we are all having to jump through those hoops. All right. So anyway, that's the value of a TC. Finally, I want to get into the last thing. I want to get into dispositions. Dispositions is the last seat that you should be filling. Okay. So dispositions: find buyers, sell deals, move contracts fast. This is where you turn paper into money. If you can't dispo, you honestly don't have a wholesale business. You have a contract hobby. So what does that mean from a dispo position? We all talk about building out a buyer's list, right? Do you think, put a yes or a no, do you think building a buyer's list in the beginning of a wholesale business is a good thing or a bad thing? Building a buyer's list first, is it good or bad? Yes or no? Yes, it's good. No, it's bad. Steve Horn says not good. Latricia says good. Okay, we're 50-50. Not sure, honestly. Absolutely. No. Oh, we're like 50-50 right now, honestly. Okay. My students have the answer. A few of you guys have already answered it. The answer is no. The answer is it is not good to build a buyer's list first. Why is that? Because building a buyer's list makes you feel busy. But what do we want to try to do in this business? We want to put revenue in first position always, always, always. And what is revenue in first position? Generating leads, following up with leads, and giving freaking offers. Generating leads, following up with leads, and giving offers. Building a buyer's list is not a money-making activity. If you don't have a contract signed by a seller, you have nothing to dispo. Sharon says, question regarding sub 2, does that mean there is no reason to have a Wyoming LLC due to FinCEN regs? No, Sharon. Let's get clarity on this, and we'll move away from the FinCEN here quickly, but that's a very good question, but let me get clarity on this. Having an LLC is still there to protect you and isolate you from lawsuits. A limited liability being the key word there, limited liability company is there to protect you and isolate you from lawsuits. But the FinCEN thing is only there to identify that you, Sharon, are an American and you are buying your property, this property, with American money, because we see that it's coming from a bank account that is owned by you, an American, or a lender, an American. Again, not a hedge fund and not someone from China. And I don't mean to be racist. It's not China, but China just buys a lot of our properties. I'm sure other countries do too, but China does a lot. Okay. So does that make sense, Sharon? All right. So as I was saying, guys, when it comes to dispo, all right, let's go to the next slide. The only thing that should be existing in the scaling of this business is your last position. You, the person, the entrepreneur, dispo should be your last position that you fill. And that's where you should exist for a very long period of time. Why is that? Well, as I said before, building out a buyer's list ahead of time is almost a complete waste of time. What are those buyers going to tell you? They're going to tell you, oh yeah, I'm looking to buy deals. I'm looking to buy properties. You know, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? But if you don't have anything, that buyer doesn't make a shit difference at all for you whatsoever. And on top of that, let's say you go to a buyer, all right? And Steve, can you unmute yourself, buddy? Let's role play this for a second.
All right, go.
So I want you to be the entrepreneur and I will be the potential buyer and say like, hey, are you buying properties?
All right, give me 2 seconds.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
maybe
You're at work. I
15.
know.
No, you're good.
I just took you away from work and now I feel terrible.
No, you didn't. You're good. Oh, cool. I'm headed back out to the saw to recut this. I have to take 3/16 off. Anyway, so sorry, I'm the entrepreneur, you're the buyer?
Yeah. By the way, guys, Steve Horn here is an amazing GC up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Does a lot of renovations, and he's also a student, and he also helps out running some of our comping Zooms. So we go over like cost per square foot, what certain rehabs cost and stuff like that. Literally, this is what he does. So he helps out a lot with that. But yeah, Steve.
$1 million. No.
What exactly, right? That was my last bid for my last project manager. All right.
Okay.
So Steve, ask the question.
Yo.
Are you a buyer?
Hey, Jeremy, this is Steve Horn. Are you a buyer? Are you interested in single family homes here in my area?
I am. What do you have, Steve?
I actually don't have anything at the moment, but I'm working on some properties.
What does that tell me about Steve? That tells me Steve is not a valuable wholesaler. It already discredits him. It already ruins my reputation, or like his reputation with me. I go, you got nothing. You're a newbie. No offense against newbies, but if you do that and you say you've got nothing for me, I know that you probably are not going to know how to comp. You're not going to know how to underwrite. You're not going to know how to get a deal. You're just following what some guru told you to do by building a buyer's list. Okay.
All right, let's play the other side of it.
Okay. What's the other side?
I'm actually doing it the way you teach.
Okay. So,
all right. So,
am I still the buyer?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I was confused. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, Jeremy, what's up? This is Steve Horn up here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Hey, listen, I've got a couple of properties that I've got under contract. I've got them all comped out and I've got everything figured out as far as what it's going to take renovation wise. What I'm questioning to you is, are you interested in any single family homes, either for fix and flip or rentals in my area?
I absolutely am.
Okay, awesome. Let's talk about these properties and then go from there. So
yeah. So that is obviously Steve has properties. That's going to change the script altogether. But the point I really want to make to you guys is this. If Steve doesn't have a deal and Steve comes to me and asks me, am I a buyer? And I say yes. And then he says, what is your buy box? What buy box am I going to give Steve?
50% ARV.
50%, you're absolutely 40%. Why not 30?
Right.
Okay. Why is that? Because I'm not going to have a newbie waste my freaking time with a bad deal. I'm not going to underwrite. Do you know how, guys, if you guys are not on wholesaler lists yet, I highly recommend you do, so you can start seeing all of the terrible deals that are blasted out every single day. Over this week, I finally opted out of all the wholesaler texts that I've been getting, because I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm just sick and tired of looking at really bad deals. And that's why I do all my flips. My flips for myself are my deals that I get under contract. I don't buy from wholesalers. And so a flipper, a buyer, is not going to tell you a realistic buy box. They're going to tell you a unicorn buy box, because if you bring them a deal, they want to make sure it's going to be a very good deal. They're not going to waste their time with something that's like hairline profitable. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? So facts, Adrian, facts, Jeremy. So many wholesalers don't know how to comp or run numbers. It's sad. And again, guys, I really want you guys not to be one of those people. Bro, there's a guy in my area that is always posting deals, and I know his rehabs are completely unrealistic. Guys, like I said, we've done that before live here, and we'll do this again here in a couple of weeks. We go into, how do you identify what renovations costs are going to be? How do you identify price per square foot, depending on the type of neighborhood, what the materials are going to be? These are all things that are almost required to be on that call, to be pitching that pitch deck. So the last thing I'm going to say is this. So owner-led dispositions, this is all about building relationships. So you've got your deal under contract. Now you start blasting out that deal. And what you should be doing is you should be learning how to do it on Facebook. You should be learning how to reach out to different buyers. You should be going to your popular title companies or hard money lenders and asking them who are some of their top buyers that are constantly doing deals. I know if I get a deal under contract in Vernal, I'm reaching out to Rhett Dean. Okay. Rhett, are you still buying in Vernal?
Not as much, just because it's gotten so pricey. I've moved.
Sure.
Now I'm picking up stuff in Wyoming and North Dakota, of all places.
There you go. If I get something in Wyoming or North Dakota, I know that Rhett can perform. I know he's a good buyer, right? And so that's what I want to do with all of you guys is you're going to start to create what we call our VIP buyers list. And that VIP buyers list is a fancy word for the friends that you have saved on your phone. And as an owner of a wholesale operation, when you start having these calls, you have these, you start developing these relationships, you're meeting people at different meetups and stuff like that. You really begin to identify who are the top performers. I know if I needed $100,000 in 20 minutes, I can call up my boy Brandon, and Brandon will wire that money to me with no questions asked because he knows that I perform. That is what a wholesale owner should be building out eventually. But you don't do that until you have a strong deal. Rhett, as much of a lovely man that he is, I don't think Rhett spends a lot of time with brand new wholesalers that don't even know how to structure an offer. He's not going to waste his time with that until he knows that that person has the capacity of bringing him a deal. Now, I'm not putting words in your mouth, Rhett. I'm just saying, like, when you are a real investor, you don't typically work with newbies because 90% of the time the deals don't work. And John, can we leverage your network? You can. You want to join the semester? It helps. No, I'm kidding. Guys, being part of the free Facebook group is just step one. If you guys do want to join the semester, like we're going to talk about that at the end here a little bit more. But yeah, we've got our Discord server that has over 12,000 people on it and stuff like that. So there's some value there, I hope. And again, if you guys ever need help with a deal, you could always reach out to me. That's it. I'll just say that. You can always reach out to me. I'll try to help. But I typically do most of my deals with my students. That's the goal. I want to do more deals with my students as well. Okay. So as I said, that's the Dispo insight. Okay, guys. Any questions about Dispo? Sharon, question. Is there any success in a daisy chain deal? Oh, okay. Is there any? Yes. Is there often? No. Okay. Guys, who doesn't know what a daisy chain deal is? I'll just really break it down quickly for you guys. A daisy chain deal is when a wholesaler has a deal under contract. A daisy chainer will then find that wholesaler a buyer and then daisy chain the deal. I've made money off that. I've done that where like one of my students wants to buy a deal and then one of my wholesaler friends that I have is selling a deal. I act as the daisy chain and I make money. That's something that happens. But Adrian says, I stay away from daisy chains, to be honest. Here's the problem. If you are selling a deal, like you have the wholesale, you're the wholesaler, you've got the property under contract and you blast that contract across Facebook and someone reaches out to you and says, hey, would you be open to me finding you a buyer? What do you say? You can say yes, but you are not going to get them under contract. You are not going to sign an exclusive contract with them. Hey, if you want to find me a buyer, I will pay you a finder's fee. If you find me a buyer that will sign an assignment agreement, I will sign a JV agreement with you. But let them do it on their own time. What you see right now, I'll get into that in just a second. What you guys see is there's a company out there called New Western. I call them Western. They're just daisy chainers. They're not the best company. They're a wholesale company that does a lot of daisy chains. If you guys remember, if you guys have been around for a while, Jamil Damji, who owned Keegley, was also a daisy chainer. And also they taught astro flipping, which was an entire coaching program all about being a daisy chainer. All of that's dead now. It died because nobody found success in that. Okay. The only reason that New Western is able to find some level of success is because they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They're not just like a mom and pop wholesale operation. They are a hedge fund that uses their marketing money to basically get properties under contract from other wholesalers, and then they sell those deals to their buyers. Does that make sense, guys? It's almost like New Western is like an arm for the hedge funds to help the hedge funds find deals. Okay. So, Ian, what's the Dispo mistake that I see? Not presenting your deal correctly, not presenting your deal effectively. If you look like an amateur when you're presenting a deal and you don't know what the numbers are, you don't know what the repairs are, or worse, you had the seller take pictures for you and you never even got an inspection on the property, that's not good. The goal here, those are mistakes that I see. The upsides of good Dispo is when you've got good photos, you've got good video, and you've got a good VIP buyers list. Your VIP buyers, if they're the right people to work with, they will get that property under contract. They will be your buyer based off of a good video walkthrough by you. They don't even need to see the property. That's a VIP buyer, guys. All right. So as I said before, when you're an owner, stay in the Dispo position for a long time. This is the full conveyor belt. It goes from lead gen, it goes to lead manager, acquisitions, TC, and Dispo. Okay. Does that make sense, everybody? Does anyone have any questions? So the hiring order, now the part everybody gets wrong is hire in this order. You replace lead gen first. This is where a lot of people go. If you've got a low limited capital, start off with outbound. That's what all of you guys are going to start off with if you don't have money. If you don't have money, you're going to be doing outbound marketing. You're going to be cold calling. Let's face it. You're going to be cold calling. You're going to be door knocking. Okay. You might send text messages from your phone. You might even do handwritten letters, but the vast majority of your outbound is going to be cold calling. Then if you get a deal, the next stage is going to be putting yourself onto a multi-line dialer, then getting a VA. That's going to be the next stage. That is an easier transition because, and if you guys have been in the marketing 101 class that I've done, you understand that it's better in the early stages to get $30 leads from outbound, that they're easier to mess up. You don't have to be as strong of a closer. You can mess up the script. You can mess up the framework. It's easier to mess up a $30 lead than it is to mess up a $300 lead. But if you get capital coming in, or you have capital that you can spend and invest it in marketing, inbound is always going to be way, way hotter. Question: how can we access last week's Friday session? Sharon, I thought I reached out to everybody, unless you were not there. We finally decided to share the recordings. So send me a DM, Sharon, on Facebook, and I will send you the recording. Okay. Is that cool? All right. So there we go. Let me see if there's anything else to go over here. So that's the hiring order, guys. And like I said, if you guys do have capital, investing in inbound marketing is going to be the answer no matter what. I mean that. It's scary to spend money on marketing if you don't have a system and a script and a way to follow and a way to make offers. That's where the vast majority of my students, when I ask them on the very first call, I say, what's preventing you? If you've got money, what's preventing you from investing that capital into marketing? And it's always, I'm afraid I won't be able to close the deal. So what we're doing through these Zooms is we're getting you guys closer to being able to close the deal. Understanding the systems in place, understanding the conveyor belt, understanding the marketing, understanding the offers, understanding the underwriting and the comping. If you have all of these systems built out in place, spending $300 on a lead no longer becomes frightening, because if your chance to close that lead is way more likely than your competition and you can make $30,000 from it, would you spend $300 to make $30,000? The answer is, I hope so. Make sense, guys? So as I said, the Henry Ford point, why I wanted just to kind of drill this into you guys, is this is the conveyor belt. Your goal is getting you out of all the seats as fast as humanly possible. Okay. Henry Ford did not get famous because he built an automobile. He got famous because he built the assembly line. And that is what a professional wholesale operation looks like. That is what my business looks like. To get to $300,000 months, you have to have a system in place to be able to do multiple deals. That's it. So the rule, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Do not rush out of every seat. Don't live in lead gen forever. That's my takeaway. Anything from this, generate leads, but don't generate leads by your time. You're going to burn out. I love seeing your faces here. I love seeing the same faces coming back over and over and over again. I don't want to see you guys burn out, because cold calling is going to kill your drive. That's what I don't want to see. So your next step, identify and replace your current seat, figure out your current role in the business, pick the next seat to replace, and execute this and plan it for the next 30 days for optimal results. Like I said last week, are you a visionary or are you an integrator? Right now, if you're a solopreneur, it doesn't matter. You're going to do both. But the first thing you have to decide on, if you are going to generate leads, how are you going to do it? If you have capital, can you invest that capital in marketing? The answer is yes. If you need a system, that's what I'm here to help. If you don't have capital, you're going to be pulling lists You're going to be cold calling those lists. You're going to be following up for 6 months to a year. It's a lot more time and a lot more effort, but it's also more affordable. And I want to be careful you guys just don't burn out there. John, you're a visionary. I love it. Visionaries, we suck. Integrators freaking hate us. We're chaos. Ava on here, she's my executive assistant. Literally every single day is a brain dump to her, and it's like her job just to organize my brain. What should you track if you want to execute for 30 days? Isaac, I say this again, bro. Book a call. I think that's actually the last slide. Yeah. There you go. Ava, one more time, if you could put the link. Guys, is it okay I just talk for like 1 minute about what next week is going to look like? So the investor semester is freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. It's all of it, all of it, all of it. And what I've decided is a lot of those people that joined, that was the investment was not as affordable. And what I'd rather do is I really want to make education, like I said, accessible to everybody that is serious about this. And so what I decided to do was I decided to really like put steroids into my freshman semester. And so I've got 51 modules. We've got AI built into that. We also meet multiple times a week. We've got like Steve running calls. We've got our boy Ricky doing sales calls. There's a lot more of a community there. And then something that I'm not going to promise yet, but it looks like it's becoming a reality, is I'm going to be able to hook up inbound leads at like dollar per lead right now. And I'm stoked on that. I really am. So like what I'm trying to do for all my students is I want to try to build out like a 90-day action plan for everybody to really build this business out right and be able to have the right leads, be able to call the right people, and be able to start giving offers. So why am I doing this next week? Next week is going to be a kickoff. This is going to be our 30-day lead flow reset. And what I'm going to do, I'm giving you guys the structure right now, is that every Friday, we are always going to do a call like this. We're going to do a deep dive on something. But then every month, I'm going to do a 30-day reset where we are going to go over the past 30 days. We're going to talk about our KPIs, our leads generated. We are going to talk about the actual business of the business, what needs to be in place to actually successfully run this operation. And then we're going to talk about the following 30 days on what we're going to focus on and build that out. And then these Friday calls are going to support and deep dive into those topic matters as we move forward. So as I said, guys, next week, I'm going to be reaching out to you guys all individually. If you're on that wait list that Abba just put, I'm going to reach out to you guys. My goal is I'm not going to be making this. I'm going to make this. I'm not ripping myself off. I'm opening this up to the seed round at a price that I probably shouldn't, but I want to just make it available to everybody. I really do. I want to have as many people into this community as possible. I want to have communication in the Facebook. I want you guys to help me grow this if I can help grow your business. That's my goal. And then if you guys ever decide to go to the varsity semesters, right, and actually get the full thing, I actually apply your tuition from freshman into upgrading with me, and we can have that chat as well. And the only way to actually get into the varsity semesters is by being a freshman student. So there you go. Ava, thank you. If you're not part of the Facebook group yet, there's the link to join. John, I'm not going to say how much. I've thought about that so many times about like, should I just say what it is? But no, I'm going to hop on a call with you guys and I'm just going to talk it over with you guys and I'm going to make this really accessible. I'll tell you this, next month, it's not going to be the same price at all. That is me making a promise to you guys that I'm making this available to everybody right now. But then after that point, I want you guys to help me build this community. Okay. So guys, any questions? I'm going to stop sharing screen. Any questions? Anything? Talk to me. Come on. Come on.
Okay.
Isaac, so how do I connect with you? If you put yourself on that wait list, Isaac, I'm going to reach out to you next week. If you guys see an 805 number calling you or texting you, that's going to be me. That's going to be my direct cell phone. Okay. Don't call me at 2 a.m., please. But yeah, we're going to go over a 15-minute strategy call. It's going to be my way of kind of interviewing you to see if you're a good fit. I want to make sure, like, let me be very clear. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because if I'm going to take someone's money, but that's going to handicap them to where now they can't afford marketing and they can't afford systems, I've now made their job way more difficult to find success. I come from another community, not going to name it, where I had so many freaking conversations with people that swallowed the Kool-Aid. They spent $10,000 by joining this program, and then they had no more money moving forward to actually build a successful business. My goal right now is, if you guys cannot afford working with me, I don't want you. I want you to come to these free calls. I want you to get to the point where maybe you can get a deal to be able to invest it in marketing. So my job here is, I don't want to shoot you in the foot. I want to give you guys as much accountability. I want to give you guys networking. I want to give you my community, and I want to give you the education, but only if you guys can afford it. That's it. Okay. So let me see if there's anything else in the chat. How long is the freshman semester? It's roughly, I think we have an 8-week program. I can show you right now. You know what? Why don't I just do that? Hold on. I'll just show you a really brief thing real fast. So what is happening here? This right here, guys. Okay. So this is everything here. Okay. And in the freshman semester, so we got live training, sales objections, comping, underwriting, marketing, trackers, calculators, scripts, contracts. I also haven't even mentioned that I built out 2 custom GPTs that think like me, helping you underwrite creative deals and cash deals, and even build out the Dispo portion of it and actually build out your pitch decks. Everything like all in a box. But this is the freshman semester. So it's 51 modules. Going into week 1 is foundations. Week 2 is systems. Week 3 is marketing and lead generation. Week 4 is comping and offers. Week 5 is sales mastery. Week 6 is contracts, transaction coordination. Week 7 is dispositions. And then finally, the freshman graduation. So that is the freshman semester, along with all of the other resources and tools and stuff like that. And then, like I said, by joining that, you get access to all of our Zooms. We go live on Tuesday nights. We also, starting next week, we're going to be opening up after this call. We're going to be opening up a student-only call where we're going to be doing more of a deep dive into what we talked about and actually applying homework and actually like deep diving into your business. Okay. So awesome, Isaac. Book a call, bro. All right, guys. Hey, like I said, absolutely no pressure. I will reach out to you if you guys are on that list, but if not, I still want you to be here. I still love you guys. I still love seeing your faces and your names, and it means a lot to me. And hopefully I'm helping you guys grow your business and get you closer to your goals. So, okay. Awesome, guys. Thank you very much. Isabel, Isaac, thank you guys. I'll leave that up a few seconds longer. If you guys haven't booked a call with me, it's in the chat. There we go. All right, guys. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself. My family is in Disneyland. And I just realized my camera is really lagging right now. That's not good. My whole family is in Disneyland, so I am solo here by myself. So if you guys want to send me messages to keep me entertained, by all means, go for it. All right, guys. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.